All right, we are live here at Ultra Products. We're pretty excited to have our ladies on this evening. This has kind of been, I don't know, how long since we.
Almost a month, probably.
Yeah, I'd say so. This evening's episode, if you guys are watching on Facebook, make sure you like, subscribe. If you've got any questions, let us know. We would love to answer any questions that you guys might have. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell and make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way, if we get a chance, we know who's on there, and we'd love to connect with you. So,
and this is not top tips.
That is correct. I'm not sure why. We had some major glitches going on. Our internet kicked out right before. So, I mean, I'm literally, my heart is beating through my chest right now.
He's been running back and forth. So I say that because it says top tips. That was last week's episode.
Yes. And on the back end, I will fix that. But this episode is episode 6, Life of the Hunter's Wife. And
boom.
So that's what we're going to be looking at this evening.
Which could turn into some top tips.
It could be top tips for
what
staying in good graces.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It could be an episode of what not to do, probably.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So maybe some tips on things you should watch out for, but try not to go too deep down that rabbit hole.
Oh, we're going deep down the rabbit hole.
We got stories, y'all.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
What color is the rabbit?
So that's where we're at this evening. Again, if you guys wouldn't mind, make sure you do all those things on Facebook and on YouTube. Also, this evening looks like we're doing loyalty roast.
There you go.
Yeah,
got mine right here.
Yep, and I felt like that was a good roast to have with our wives here. So
good answer.
Yeah.
Loyalty.
Yep, because we're loyal.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get started with it. Really, what we wanted to look at is what, in regards to, I guess, in regards to family and how it connects in regards to hunting. Yeah, I know that at times is a challenge, not only for you guys, but also for us to, every man struggles with knowing exactly what their wife's thinking at times. And
you want me to tell a joke to help you out with that one?
Let's hear it.
So Jesus appears to this old guy, and he said, "Man, you have served me for years and years and years, and just never wavered, and never backed up, just always been constant and pressed on." He said, "I just want to do anything that you would ask." And he says, "Well," he said, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but I don't want to fly. So I was just wondering if you could build me a bridge where I could drive to Hawaii." And Jesus was like, "Well, sure, I could. I'm Jesus. That would..." But I was thinking maybe something, besides it. "You sure there's nothing else that you would want me to do for you besides this bridge?" He said, "Well, there is one other thing." He said, "I've been married for almost 60 years. And he said, every morning I wake up and I'm trying to figure this wonderful girl out next to me." And he said, "I just haven't never been able to do it." He said, "Could you explain to me the mystery that is woman?" And he said, Jesus looked at him and said, "How many lanes do you think you want on that bridge?" So Jesus said, "Not even I can explain." No. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe that'll break the ice for some of us. But in that being said, not knowing, I would say at times in my life, and I don't want to get judged too harshly by my wife, but I've probably pushed the envelope.
I would say so.
Yeah.
When you've got 3 kids and they're small, and me and Wes are talking earlier, or Wes and I talking earlier,
Man,
and
I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Good.
Trying to figure out what it is. What is it that is within us that causes us to want to go so much? And I really, I got thinking about this after you got busy. I thought she might be able to explain better than me, because I can't really explain what it is that's within me that, makes me want to go hunting every day.
Sorry, I hit the microphone. I wasn't trying to get you to stop. Like, let me talk.
Let me chime in.
Well, for me, on the backside of it, there were some hard times when we were younger, but it was because life was so big. Kind of the stages you're in right now. We're past it a little bit, but I would be drowning. He's like, "Well, gonna go kill something for 4 hours," and I was like, "Oh my goodness," But I don't know. There's just been such a balance as we've gotten older. Now it's wonderful and glorious, and it doesn't bother me because I think the Lord put within you to be an outdoorsman and a hunter and all things like that. And so
And that's
I'm
what
like,
you
get
said.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're made that way.
Yeah, I actually feel the same way. I feel like, I mean, our kids are younger than yours, but early on, it was tougher than it is now. Like the last several years, I feel like there's more balance.
There is. And I would say there's also a breaking point of that balance.
Yes.
Where
Do you
it's
want
like-
us to tell those stories?
No.
Because we can.
I just want to know what color the rabbit is once we get that deep down the hole.
Some of it's our funniest stories now.
Yeah.
Like we laughed. Like
Sure, they're funny
Yes.
they weren't funny then,
No.
but they
Not so
are
much.
really funny now. Like when I peeled out this is one of our favorite stories.
now. She's going to do it.
I
this would
I
happen.
feel like the world of
Wait a
Facebook
minute.
and YouTube
We have
need
one
to
of the
know.
people that go to our church in this room, and we're the pastors.
Hey.
I'm just
We got to tell it like it is.
just know, Jared, that we have come a long way.
We've come a long way. This
I'm
was
turning
This has been
red.
at
I feel
least
like
6
I'm
weeks.
yeah, this is at least
Hey.
6 weeks ago.
I'm 42. I'm thinking this happened in the decade of 20s. That's how I had the whole decade of 30s, and I'm 42. So
I feel like I'm turning red. I don't know. Am I turning
well,
red?
let's just jump off in it because we lived in a double wide in Fairfield, and he was going hunting, and I had all I could take. And I remember I pulled in my driveway and it was like still soft and wet, and he was gonna go, and I was like, well, I'm gonna freak out now. So I took off and drove behind our double wide and rutted up the yard so bad and just screamed the whole time I did it. Like, and just like went around again and almost got stuck. But the greatest, and it reminded me of like Cruella de Vil when she was driving and her eyes were spinning in the cartoon. I was like, oh, I've had it.
Were
Like,
you
Yeah.
there when she was?
No.
Okay.
I'll finish that
No.
side of the story. I'll finish it.
Because
I come
I
home-
was crying and screaming. It was like crazy, but
So
Dude,
it's funny now, but you have to
We've been
picture.
friends for this long. You've never told me.
you
that.
never knew. You probably saw the ruts. They were there for years. You'd mow and it would go boom.
Listen,
boom.
listen.
Yeah,
I
That's
come,
a nice reminder.
I
Oh,
come
yeah.
home.
Like, you did this to me.
Oh my word!
Yeah,
I forgot. So I come home.
it wasn't
So
my
first of
finest
all-
hour. It wasn't my finest hour.
So first of all,
But we learned a lesson that day. Maybe we
Okay.
shouldn't hunt that
Yeah.
that extreme when the kids were little.
you talked about the breaking point.
It was a breaking point.
This is gonna be awesome.
Okay, hold on, though,
It's
hold
just what
on
it
for
was.
just a second, because
Oh, coffee went in my lungs.
Woo, all right,
Get it out.
okay.
Get it out.
But let me go with it now.
It needed.
I want to paint a picture for the people.
It needed.
You have to picture, late November yard conditions, not favorable, generally speaking, for cars to be going at racetrack speeds around your house. So
Oh,
anyway,
man.
that's
Probably
the
went around
picture
3
painting.
times.
I came home and I was out in the yard after dark. And I pulled my
tore it
vehicle. Remember,
up.
you remember how my driveway was
I
kind of
tore it
circling. I
up.
pulled my truck up in there and I was like, someone has drove through our yard. And I mean,
I
not
did.
like drove through, like,
Like
drifted,
mudded.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
drifted through the yard around the house. And I was like,
Oh man.
I did.
and I
That
went in.
literally made my night.
Yeah, and I went in the house and I was like, Kristin, was you here? Someone has done donuts
was like,
around
"Oh,
our house.
Let me tell you about
No, really, by then,
Was
if
I
remember-
crying?
no, by then you were like, I'm so sorry.
it. Yeah, I melted
Like-
down.
It's
And then-
possible we're peaking really bad on this, so you might maybe inch us down just a freckle.
But of course, the funny part of that is I mowed my yard for the next 6 years.
every year.
every year.
And you thought about it.
I would
every
go
year.
over those, thump, 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 and then I'd mow on. And every time I'd go home, I was
Oh.
like, there's those ruts in the yard. Thump, 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 thump. That
So what was her response when you walked in?
she was She was like, I'm so sorry. I was just so upset. I was so aggravated. She had 3 kids, that were little. Probably
Yeah.
at that time, I'm
Yeah.
talking maybe 1 or 2 of them in diapers and 1 of them out. And
Yeah.
But when you were explaining and you said, let me paint the picture, late November, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because by
because
then you're kind of done.
Yeah. You've pushed it to the end.
Yeah.
right,
A lot
because
of times.
I mean, it's just such the golden. It's that golden time. Every true bow hunter knows that bow hunts months. November's
Mhm.
it's like, this is it.
Yeah.
And I've had people tell me,
Man.
I've had people look at me and say, there'll be a next. I said, maybe there won't be a next
That's
November.
exactly right.
And there'll never be another 2023 November.
Yeah.
I got to get it all in, all that I can get in. That was my mindset.
That was.
My heart is
But
broken right now that
but
November's over.
with that, you've got to understand when the part of me as a wife, I wanted him to be able to live his life because you only get one life. You got to enjoy it, or
One
it'll
life
just.
to live.
You only get one life.
So soap opera. Go ahead.
You only get one life to live. Lord help us. But I wanted him to enjoy it. But there are times when we were younger that the selfishness and the drive, it's just like someday I just wanted him to pick me.
Yeah.
That's all. If he would have had one night that he would have said, when we were in our 20s, when he would have said, let's just stay home. Because we just could have stayed home and watched television. Then I would have been like, go for 5 more days. It really was that simple. I just needed to be picked. And then I didn't care if you went at all. And now I love that you go to Colorado. So there's growth, but we're talking when you're first married. But then again, you did pick me sometimes. And so as a wife, maybe you might have to get me mixed. I'll leave after this if you want me to. But sometimes if you never would have picked me and we're still in our 40s, it would have been a bigger deal.
Problem.
Yeah.
I would have been like, what? You've chosen that over me. The love of Christ is shed abroad in my heart. So that helps a whole bunch.
Helps.
But
Yeah, that
just
helps.
sometimes I needed you to pick me over, and he did. And then I could go a lot farther with them.
I think for us, like whenever I haven't rented a yard yet. It could still totally happen.
Yeah.
Hey,
But-
where you live now, if you're driving circles around that house, I want to come watch. That's impressive.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
She would
Um,
have to be driven.
But like I would, when I could feel myself getting there and be like, I just want you to know, I need you to schedule a date.
Yes.
And you would,
Yeah.
you know, and we would
Yeah.
be able to spend time together. And
And sometimes there's elements of, as you get older, you understand almost the signals.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and you've
Yeah.
got to learn to read the leaves.
Well, I
Yeah.
tell everybody.
That's true. Yes.
Mhm.
I've told almost any young person lately, and of course, I have 2 daughters that are in their 20s now. That they talk about boys, and I say, you have to understand, they're not even human beings till they hit about 32, and then
32.
yeah, and then all of a sudden 32, 30, 32, 33, you start being like, well, I should maybe come home.
I think I'm about 50% there.
We won't say
That's
how
not
old.
True.
But when you come back to the word of God, I think I've been thinking about this scripture a lot lately. It says, he who has found a wife has found a good thing. And I know that it would go, who has found a husband has found a good thing. But when it says that he who has found a wife has found a good thing, and it says the favor of the Lord has shone upon you. I mean, but marriage is such an ordained thing from the Lord. It's such a gift. And so for me, just as you were being selfish at times and putting yourself first, well, then there was me on the other side, like, look at me, put me first. And so it's a give and take. And I honestly don't think I could have got there had I not been born again and serving the Lord, because when you read the word and the life of Jesus and the life of John the Baptist, then it helps you to realize that what the love of God looks like, and you put yourself last. But marriage is such a beautiful, wonderful thing. I think it should always be treasured and always be esteemed. And even in the stages you are now without hunting, especially where you two are at, and some of my friends that have younger kids, you can become partners real quick. You take this one, I'll take this one. You pay this, I'll cook this dinner. You go pay that bill, and then you just like come together and like, oh yeah, good to see you. So I think that your marriage has to be guarded. Which we've been married 25 years, been together 26. It's always got to be made a priority at times because you can drift even on just life.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely, you can.
If you're not careful. So it's not like hunting's bad. I love that you guys hunt.
Yeah.
And we've got fun. We got lots of stories. but also that marriage, that it's so honored that you just treasure one another and realize there's a lot of people that don't have the kind of marriages that we have.
And that's why I felt like this was really important
Mhm.
because I got to thinking about the life of a hunter's wife. And I thought there's an element of honor that needs to be given.
That's the word.
Because of that.
Yeah.
Like, because I think about the sacrifices that our wives have made for us to be able to do the things that we enjoy and we love and that really that God has put in us. And I just felt like there needs to be honor given there.
Yeah.
And what better time than around Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
I feel like it's an easy thing to do though, because it's not like a one-way street. Like it's not just
and it shouldn't be.
You
Marriage
know.
should not be a one-way street. The Bible talks about the two become one.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the two don't still have separate interests at times.
Yeah.
Because actually, how many times have you been hunting?
When we first dated, I went a lot.
Well done.
Yeah.
I was trying to condition you for the days that were coming.
But when you have kids, I stopped
Yes.
going when I had kids.
Yeah.
But I do
I'd
enjoy
say-
being
I'd
outdoors.
say though, I don't think you went really after we got married. You really didn't go. And we didn't have kids for 2 years.
I went once when we were dating and I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It's cold. We can't talk. Like it.
Yeah.
What? I
And
mean,
was
I like.
okay.
See you in 7 hours.
I did go coon hunting more often.
She did.
Coon
She
hunting
liked
was
coon
fun.
hunting.
It is fun. I kind of would still.
Yeah.
Those,
okay with
didn't
that.
you find one of those big antlers that's on the wall behind there?
Yes, she did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you guys may have
That was when we were dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
A
I'm
while
going to
ago.
marry her. I better. She found a shed and she's mine.
Did she find both sides or one?
No, she found
I
one
found
and I
the
found the
second.
other.
Yeah.
You
Who
found
is-
the first one, right? And I found
Yep.
the match.
Yep.
Who was the person with you that we were just looking at some property and they're like, hey, what's that? And it was a shed. Who showed you that? It was me. You're supposed to remember. You weren't even seeing it, but my
I gave
eagle
them to
eyes.
him. I gave them
My
to Jared.
eagle eyes found it.
That's
yeah,
funny.
you're welcome, Jared.
I gave those sheds. Those are the sheds. Yeah. We were sitting in the Jeep.
Yeah.
And we were looking at this property because we'd sold our house. You know anything about buying? And I was like, this is kind of where I was thinking. Kristen was like, hey, look at them big antlers laying out there. And I was like,
Cool.
no kidding. You
Yeah.
know, and picked them up. And it happened to be a deer that maybe was still to this day.
Yeah.
I think you're right, isn't it?
Man,
How
that
about
would be
that?
cool.
Helpmate right here.
Yep.
That's what we are at Cassie.
Yeah.
We
There you
find
go.
sheds.
Because I knew it was more in your wheelhouse to kill him. So I gave you the sheds for a blessing that you might get him. But yeah, you found those sheds. So,
Do you
but
have any
you
questions?
did, you did go hunting. We have funny stories about you. You actually rattled in a few deer for me.
I did.
Yeah.
South of McLeansboro, she sure did.
Yep.
Down
Help
there
me.
by the old Smith Church, we hunted in behind there, and she rattled in a buck or two one evening. Did you hit your hands?
I hit my hand and it still flares up from time to time. The price I pay.
That's been
The price
20
I pay. I hit
That's
right
been
here. I was like,
26 years ago. You must
sometimes when
have-
it's going to rain, I can feel the old
There
antler injury I got there.
have been a few times that I've hit my hand real hard.
It hurts.
Oh man.
I tried to play it cool because we were dating. I was like, I'm fine. But on the inside, I was
No
like,
big deal.
ah.
I took her down the Golden Gate. We tell this story all the time, but I took her down the Golden Gate bottoms, got in a boat, crossed the river onto the island where the river splits. There's 120 acre so island way back in no man's land.
Yeah.
And I dropped her off at a stand. She never did do any shooting.
I was just there for moral support.
Yeah. So I said, just get in that stand there. It was like a tower.
When we first started hunting, I didn't know I would swing my legs. I'd sit on the edge of the
Yeah,
stand. I
that-
didn't know that it would spook
One of the first times I
deer.
took her, I almost put you on my back and climbed into the tree because I mean, you know my trees
Yeah.
that nobody can get in. So I was like had her on my shoulders climbing up the tree. I got her in the stand, and it was a permanent that you build. You know,
Yeah.
nobody hardly does that anymore. But I had built it up there.
It's because
So
it's
there-
not safe.
Yeah. So there's no seat.
He
No,
didn't tell
there's
me
no
that.
way
I didn't
for
know it wasn't
there's
safe.
no way for two people to sit on a seat. I think I had a seat built into it. So I
Yeah.
put her on the platform. She was sitting on the platform with her legs hanging off, kind of, you know, in between my knees. And I was like, I looked down and both of her feet are swinging like this. I said, you can't do that. And she's like, are you kidding me? I can't. So I was like, no, we're deer hunting. We're going to see you. And the time on the island, I didn't finish that story. I dropped her off at the tower, and I said, I'm going to you can see the stand because it was virgin timber.
remember it.
You could see way through the timber. And I said, I'll be over there. I can see you with my binoculars from over there. And I seen her sit. And I seen her.
I laid down on the platform.
I seen her kind of
30
slunch.
foot up.
I seen her
fell
slunch, and I seen her
asleep.
back against a tree. Eventually, I look over and she's laying down in the stand. And
No harness.
I can tell.
I didn't know.
I can tell she's sound asleep, and I was like, Lord,
I
have
rolled out of
mercy.
that
If she rolls,
tree,
she's gonna fall out of that
I
tree.
think homeboy here would have given me a heads
Was
up.
that
Like,
your last time?
no.
I was watching with my binocs. If you get close, to
You were
the
going to get
edge,
down 30 foot out of your tree, walk 100 yards to me and help me before I rolled out of the tree.
All right.
Then you would have had to marry me because I got disfigured from falling like 30 foot.
Sickness and
Pity
health.
marriage. For richer, for poor, for better or worse.
We weren't married then, were we?
No, we were just dating.
Just dating.
One of my
Cassie only went with me once, and we made out the whole time. So
James, cover your ears.
I was like, this is not going to cut it. If I'm going to hunt, I can't be doing this.
The biggest deer ever walks by. Hutchcraft didn't even know it happened.
Oh my.
One of my favorite was Hutchcraft. So we have all been friends for years.
Yeah.
A while.
Was Gracie born when you came in the picture?
Yeah.
Was Hallie born?
Yes.
Was George?
No.
Okay, so that's over 20 years ago.
Yeah, we've been together 21 years, married 16.
I don't think
That's right.
Hallie was born.
How old is Hallie?
She'll be 21 on Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Right
So,
on
I
there.
mean,
She'd have
yeah.
been a baby.
Yeah, we've been dating, or we started dating 21 years ago.
Probably though, when we started to get to know you,
Right.
Hallie
Yeah.
would have been
Hallie
top.
was a-
she would have been.
She was
Trust
a
me,
whirlwind.
yes, I remember.
She was a tornado.
Yeah.
We all have those stories.
Yeah.
Sweet Hallie Mae.
And-
She's awesome.
But I've known Wes since we were kids, like
Mhm.
young. So we all went to church camp together. And so I've known Wes longer than I've known you. Probably, I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade when I started to know the Hutchcraft family from church camp. But so we would hunt. I hunted with you guys a few times, coon hunting, and then we'd just go see whatever mischief we could get in on a Fairfield weekend sometimes. And we did. But I don't think I was not the story. I've heard it so much, and I have him tell it from time to time because it's my favorite. You guys were coon hunting, and there was like a big, you have those lamps on and it's real dark, and there was that big trench, and Wes was behind.
We were behind the farm back there
man.
on the big.
You know which
hill.
one I'm going to say, don't you?
There's so many coon hunting stories, and there's so many stories where I eat it.
That's
Yeah.
what's
It's
going to
making me
happen.
Think of another story.
Virtually
He did.
every one of them are centered around you eating it. I think.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That one. That one's
my
so funny
favorite
because
one.
we're down.
I'm like a Russian ballet artist.
I don't know if I've heard this one, so I want to hear it. But I'm
I'll let
thinking
him
of
tell
a
it.
few years ago when you were deer hunting.
Oh, it's so funny. I know what you're talking about. That was at Wayne City.
I love to hear that story.
When you passed me, I heard you coming.
I don't know if I've heard this one.
There's a skiff of snow on the ground, and we're filming, so we've got 30 pounds of equipment. A lot of times, like whoever carried the camera equipment, maybe we take both bows, so there are guys packing 2 bows. You got a lot of extra stuff hanging on you, maybe climbing stands generally as well. And we were coming down just a slope down to that slough crossing,
I know exactly what.
And there was a skiff of snow on the ground, and we're going down that, and you're 8 to 9 yards behind me, and all of a sudden I hear something coming, and you went past me to the left with both arms swinging.
Oh.
And what had happened, you hooked your toe in a root or something. And you know how you see on Funniest Home Videos when the top end gets going faster
Yeah.
than the lower end, and the lower end's doing everything it can do to catch up, and the arms involuntarily are swinging like this to balance, and you just face planted in the bottom of that slough. Oh, that was funny, man.
The thing
Of course,
is,
I want to check on you and make sure you're okay, but
But
I'm
you can't
also
'cause you're
trying not to
laughing.
laugh at you.
Oh. I looked up and he was doubled over.
Yeah, that's a friend.
Yeah.
That's a friend right there.
The one coon hunting, remember, I don't know why we did this. You had the old blaster dog,
Yeah.
and we were behind the farm on the big hill.
Yep.
And remember all the deep gullies and ravines
I
back in
remember
there.
them. Chisel plowed fields. And,
But we're up in the timber, and Blaster goes, he's getting out of hearing.
yeah.
Well, back then, we didn't have trackers and GPS on dogs like they do now. So we were young. We need to do it now, but back then we just take off running through the woods. You're like, we got to go to catch up with Blaster. He's getting out of hearing. We got to so we take off.
Whenever they'd get on a hot coon, man, it was lightning, man.
Yeah, we went.
It's fun.
We
I
went
liked
to
it.
keep
I
him
did too.
to keep the dog in hearing, so
Yeah.
we wouldn't, because we
Yeah.
didn't have a tracking system. If he gets out of your ears, then you spend hours sometimes looking.
Yeah.
So we take off running, and once again, for whatever reason, I was out ahead of you, and I got, I don't know, a little ways, and I come to this. I mean, you got to slide on your tailbone down in the bottom of it, probably 10 to 12 feet deep, and probably 12 to 13, 14 feet to the other side. So I slid down the bank into the bottom of that, and hand over fist, climb up the other side. And I just get up and I start taking several strides, and I hear, "Ah." And if anybody's ever done it when you're in the night and someone's out ahead of you with a headlamp on, it's very deceiving what's taking place because the light's dim. And I turned around. I was like, Wes, and you were nowhere. I walked back to that ravine, shined my light in the bottom, and you were laying on your back, and you were bleeding because there's briars and stuff in it. And you go, dude, I thought you jumped that.
Could you imagine
And
jumping
you're like in the
into
dark.
12 foot across, 12 foot deep?
You jumped into nothingness.
It hits the sound of,
Yeah, you said I jumped out there, and I was like, there's nowhere to go here. I'm just in the wide open space, and you fell in the bottom of that hole.
I never heard. Free falling.
Oh,
Tom
it
Petty.
was like face was bleeding because of briar. Nothing serious,
man.
but anyway,
There's
Whoa,
There's a
how
lot
old
of-
were you?
we were in high school.
We weren't married yet
Somewhere
when it
around
happened.
32.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
I like that.
We
story.
would have been in high school, so I would have been a senior.
Oh, man.
And you
Nothing
would
takes
have
the
been-
edge off like a good cup of coffee.
Is it Black
Trying to change
Rifle
the
Coffee
subject.
Company? Is it
Loyal? It's the
loyalty?
Loyal
Is it the
one.
loyalty brand?
Yeah.
Well, do you have any questions for us, or do they send in questions, or what do you?
Have
What's
we
in
had
your heart?
anybody chime in?
I have not seen any questions. You guys see any questions?
Do you have
You're
any
listening
questions
and you
for
have
us?
a question for these ladies?
Yeah.
You know, if you have a question, if you're the wife of a hunter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe you're doing this and you can be like, what? And it turns, like I said, maybe it will turn into tips, but how you
Mhm.
guys handled it.
I would say this: whenever we got started hunting together, like really hunting together, was with Team Harvest. And those first few years, we were running.
We went hard.
We
Mhm.
did.
It
And-
was.
And I would
You
say we
did.
were hunting between 80 and 90 days out of season. And I know that was challenging.
Mhm.
What do you think helped you cope with it?
Are you asking me
Okay,
first?
so
Either
what
one of
years?
you.
What years was this?
2005, somewhere around there.
Was
2006.
was you
our
guys
first DVD.
married
We weren't,
when you started
but
Team
you
Harvest?
were in Team Harvest when we were married, but
Yes.
not when it started.
Yeah, because when we started Team Harvest, I was
So
well. Let's just get it out. I was living with my parents.
Elephant in the room. Elephant in the room.
So when did Team Harvest end? Like what year?
Team Harvest ended somewhere around 2012, I believe.
Okay. that would be our saving grace with the whole Team Harvest thing, is that we weren't married when you started. And then James would have just been 2 when it was kind of wrapping up.
Yeah, I remember
So
whenever
we
we
weren't
did
in
the
the thick of
show,
it.
that was
That was
pretty
a
intense.
lot.
It was taxing.
We were in
And
the
we
thick
talked
of
about
it.
before with Team Harvest, we were so excited because
Yeah.
we're like, we're going to film hunts. Everybody's going to know us. We're going to be famous and things like that. And it's good to dream that way. But what we did with that was we felt like we had to beat in some serious time.
Yeah.
And now we kind of do we did so much this year, but in the past we've done the same thing with less time.
Yeah, you're more strategic.
Strategic
it.
and
Yeah.
wisdom has come. We know if the wind's not right, we would just go anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
90 degrees, we went.
Yeah.
100 degrees, we
Yeah.
went.
Pouring rain,
Pouring rain, we went.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I can remember times.
And that would still yield, but it yielded
because we
because we
beat
were
in
there.
a time and eventually we hit
Yeah.
it right.
I can remember times too of you coming in and complaining about the weather or the situation, and like you didn't love the hunt, but you guys went so often. And in my mind, I'm like, if you know,
Maybe
why are you doing it?
maybe
if it's,
rest yourself and
yeah,
recoup and go again.
Again, it comes down to wisdom. I feel like we have more of that than what we used to.
yeah,
But
I mean, because we hunted, and I'm not saying this is right. So anybody listening is like, this is probably not right,
And
especially when you're married and got kids. But
that's why I think this is great, because learn from our mistakes.
I worked in a factory at that
tough.
time.
It was tough because we had 3 kids. Owen was born in 05. Why did I struggle with that? And then Gracie was born in 01 and Hallie was born in 03. And so I cried a lot during that time. That was tough because you were
sorry.
gone. No, it's not anything to feel bad about, but there were hard times. But it came back to the Lord. I mean, for me, how did you cope? That is the 100% not fake, phony answer. I would spend some evenings with him.
Yeah, see, I was developing. I was helping develop.
I will judo chop you right here. No. And then you would, those couple years were tough. And for me personally to get through it, just the natural side, I would think it's a small season.
yeah.
January's coming. January's coming.
It's Friday.
When it was tough, and he didn't
Sunday
do
is on the
this
way.
after we had all 3 children as bad. But sometimes when we were first married, but we were babies when we got married, you've got to have a lot of grace. I mean, I was 16 and you were 18. We were kids.
Yeah.
And so he would go from, this is when it was tough. He would go from hunting season and immediately into another one just as hard. It's like, what are we killing now? We're going coyote hunting. Who cares about it? Now we got a coon hunt. Now we're going to go look randomly for
And then we went
arrowheads.
into the middle of May. I used to hog fish
Yeah.
3 to 4 times a week.
That was when it was tough.
Yeah.
And that was when it was the hardest. But
Like I wanted to stay on second shift so I could hog fish or deer hunt every day.
yeah.
And there was times she was like, you need to think about going to days. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Well, we had little children.
yeah, I was like,
Mhm.
man, if I go to
And
days,
you took our kids with you. I mean, it
can't
wasn't
hunt
like
till the
you weren't a good dad
weekend.
or
Are you
anything.
kidding me? But yeah.
That was tough. And had kept that up, I don't believe, unless something miraculous happened, I don't believe we would have a good marriage as we do now, because it was too much. It was you focused and it was hard at times,
Mhm.
But on the other hand, I wanted you to go do those things because it brought you so much joy.
Right.
And in marriage, it's not about stop what you want to do and just do only,
Yeah.
For me, it's about a partner that would be like, go do your own thing and I'm here cheering you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want that for me too. Like there's stuff I love to do. I love it when he's like, that's awesome, go do it.
Yeah.
There's support there. And that's what it should be. It was just a few years that were
Yeah.
tough.
Well, and here's the
Then it
thing, no
broke.
matter what it is, when you have 3 little kids, the years are going to be tough. Like no matter what your hobby is, or
There's supper, there's
Yeah.
homework, there's
Yes.
bath time, there's playtime, there's
Yes.
all of that. But I will say, after about probably when Team Harvest would have ended, or maybe a little before, it just got better and better and better and better and better. So, but there was a lot of learning.
Well, we
there.
reached a
Mhm.
place, Harvest, a little bit before it dissolved.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then you came to me.
And then I was crying.
Yeah.
He
That was
really,
tough.
he,
We did.
he
We
was
both
really
cried that
sad.
day when I
Yeah,
announced
we
that.
did, man.
But I'm telling you, the Lord told me, he said, you have to tell him you're out.
Yeah.
And I was like, Lord, I don't want to tell him I'm out. Lord, I don't want to be out. But I knew in my heart, he was like, tell him you're stepping away. Well, then I stepped away, and it was a year, one season out
Yeah.
or so or two. I don't know what it was, to be quite honest. I think we did still hunt, just the vacation time.
Mhm.
And then the time, whatever that time span was, and Team Harvest dissolved. And remember, then people contacted you
Yeah.
and wanted us to apply for positions like a hunting for a
Yeah.
TV show. And by then, I guess maybe I had grown up enough. And
Yeah. And what made you guys change? Is it because your heart was like, I want to be with my wife?
well, I
or-
remember I was
what
getting
was
ready
the
to say,
change
I
in you?
remember when you approached me, is like, hey, is hallowed ground? Hallowed
Hallowed
ground.
ground.
It's like, hey, won't you guys send us some of your material, because we're thinking about adding a team or however it went. And
we actually didn't get it. If you remember right, somebody else got it in our place. Jerks.
but then we did get it.
They're good guys. I'm just kidding.
But then we just turned right around and got it anyway.
We did. Yeah.
But anyhow, I remember saying, here's the deal. I don't know if you remember. I was like, I'll do it, because we're going to go hunting, but I'm not doing the running to shows. And
Yeah.
not that I could never go to a show, but if you remember, deer season went out with Team
Oh, and we
Harvest.
did
Then
show
it
season.
was all
Yeah.
try to hit all the whitetail classics and all that stuff, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, so
Well, and I feel like as you guys have gotten older, like you love it, but it's not your priority.
Yeah.
Like
I would
it is important, but it's not.
Yeah. That's
So-
probably answers
farther
that
down the
question.
list.
I think
Yeah.
mindsets have definitely changed in regards to
well, we hit
probably
that,
priorities for
yeah,
one.
we hit
and,
that 32. We
and-
finally
and
turned into a
wisdom.
human being.
Really?
Well, like I remember Cassie saying at one point, I would like to have time where I get to go do stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of like what you had said earlier, Kristin. And I remember thinking, well, I don't care if you do things in my head,
Yeah.
but I thought, I don't know that she takes advantage of it like I do. And to me, there was a little bit of a revelation that occurred there where I was like, okay, so if she's not taking advantage of it, that means that I need to do something to where she can.
Yeah.
Create opportunities for her to do that. Because it's not about me. A marriage is not about me. It's about us,
Yeah.
working together and finding
So
that
rewarding
balance.
too.
It is.
And you two guys, you love your wives. Like I know I am number one with him. Like he loves me. He's always loved me. That wasn't ever it. And I know that you love Cassie very much.
Yeah.
So as you've made that change and kind of turned towards us, and then have you noticed that our hearts just keep turning towards you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it's made a good marriage, I think, one of respect. I like the word honor, value, and it is one of the most rewarding. I guess encourage the listeners. A marriage done right is one of the most rewarding things you can have.
Yeah.
It is a blessing to come home and just be with your person, just to be. And then it's encouraging. And we all watched when he killed his elk. He come home and showed it. We all loved it so much. It's you, because you've turned towards that spouse, then we all celebrate your triumphs.
Yeah.
You've got a whole, like you've got your 3 kids still at home, they're cheering you on, and they're just, you've got a tribe, know.
Yeah.
But I think if you never, and this might be meddling and I don't mean it, but if you never put yourself second, sometimes I don't think you'll reap the benefits of a marriage and what it could be.
Oh, I think that's
definitely.
100% right.
And you might sacrifice what you want for a moment,
Right.
but give yourself a year down the road. You'll be like, that was the greatest choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, what do you guys say? I mean,
Well, that's how I feel. That's why I tried to actively make sure that there were scenarios where Cassie could go away. She could get away from the kids. Not
That sounds bad.
Yeah.
No, I just
breathe.
mean like have some time to herself.
be
Yeah.
Cassie,
Yeah.
not mom. Yeah.
Because when me and Lathan were talking before you guys even got here, we were talking about, I asked him, how do you think our ladies view hunting? Because I think a lot of women look at hunting and they think that's a hobby. And I don't think we look at it just as a hobby.
Mhm.
Like it's something that is innate.
Yeah, because how'd you say that? You said a hobby. What'd you say? It's not necessarily a hobby if you're going to go do it, even if you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Or how did you?
Like if money was like so thin that it was like you just don't have any, I would still hunt. I would
Yeah.
still figure out a
I'd be
way.
carving a
Yeah.
hickory limb.
Absolutely. Like
And
I'd be up in a tree jumping out on something. You
yeah,
know,
I'd be
like,
carving hickory limbs and finding some bamboo, or not bamboo, but what do we have here? Cane, to try to make shafts, and some obsidian. I'd be trying to figure a way to.
and when that's the case, that's more than just a hobby. Like it's something that is ingrained in you.
Yeah.
And I feel like because a lot of times women, and give me your thoughts on this, but because a lot of times women look at it as simply a hobby, they almost look at it as a throwaway item. Like you can give that up, it's no big deal. And to me, there's elements of that, man, what a shame, because in a society where it's all the time trying to take manhood away from men,
Mhm.
I feel like all the more we ought to be thrusting men into that. Like, become a man. Do everything you can to become a man.
Whenever you said people look at it like you could just give that up, that like almost brought some sadness to my heart. Like, because it is part of who you are.
Mhm.
You know, like it's totally different to say, hey, you know, tonight, I'd like to go out to dinner instead of you go to the woods. Like, I would never,
Yeah.
I can't imagine being like, choose now, you know, like,
Oh, I
that is
did.
never.
Oh, I did. I was not as nice and sweet as Cassie. I was like, you choose you this day whom you will serve, because Judgment Day is approaching. Like, I have meltdown moments, but praise God for growth. You know,
Yeah.
there wasn't. It took me a while to figure out that that's how God made you, and I support that. But everybody comes to
Yeah.
it different, you know.
And I feel like too, like Colorado, like whenever you guys leave,
We love Colorado.
I know you love it. And
I
when,
thought what
when
you
it,
were saying earlier.
Colorado
I thought
knows
what you
how
were
to
saying
party.
earlier almost leaned that you probably want us to go to Colorado and stay longer.
I think so. That's what I
I
heard
did
in your
not
voice.
know
Cassie,
that
they
at all.
interrupted you very rudely. What was you saying?
Like, you
But-
guys need 3 weeks in Colorado. No.
No, because what I was going to say is before you leave, you are like so amped up. And for several days beforehand, it's all we can talk about is the
Yeah.
prep work
Yeah.
for heading to Colorado because we're going
Yeah.
to the mountains. But
Ah,
Makes
the
my
by
heart.
the
It does.
time, by the time you come home, you're ready to come home, you know?
And I'm a lean, mean, fighting machine.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a healthy thing
Yeah.
to be able
Yeah.
to go and do that. And it's just balance.
And come
is.
home. I still sit here after all this conversation and I say, if you ask me what it is within me, I can't explain it. I can't really put words to why. I mean, from the time I saw a deer in a field as a little boy, I was like, oh, I was fascinated by that deer standing out there. And Dad would drive us to church or whatever, and we had a decent drive up through the country to church, and Mom was like, what are you doing? I was like, I was looking out the window wanting to see if there was any deer out.
How awesome is it that God has created man and woman so different? Like every time we drive somewhere, I'm like, see that group of deer?
Yeah.
And she's like, who cares?
Yeah.
But man, you're right. It's like, it's an awesome thing even now.
Well, I
And
have
I-
a
and I-
question for you.
All
You to
right.
answer from your perspective. When you guys could say that you felt like you were out of balance, how did that process come to you guys? Like, what made you know?
It was the ruts in the yard.
What I mean, besides the psycho moments that I produced for you, but in your heart of hearts, what made you choose? There's got to be a better balance. Like, what was the day of reckoning?
Well, when I turned about 32 or 33, I turned into a human being. No, there was times I knew I was like pushing this one right up to the edge of everything that can be handled. And I knew that. I knew it. I don't know. So your question, ask it one more time. Give me time to think. What
What happened with you internally that you both know, like, okay, Did you just want something different, or?
I think what happened was I came home to, why won't you hug me?
Yeah.
No,
I came home to rats in the yard.
Yes, you did.
No.
I really I would struggle to answer that. I just finally came, I guess, to the place I was like, and I'm there now. Maybe I got some of it out of my system to some degree, because I would say even like I love what Michael Whitell said. You shared that. I was like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
I still have a passion and I want to go hunting and I want to chase big deer and I want to go to the mountains and chase big elk. But I guess I just saw that is as important as it is to me. It's not lasting.
Well, I remember me and you standing out in your garage before you guys moved, and we were looking at all those racks. And I remember thinking, what one of your kids are going to care about this?
Probably none of them. I mean, to some degree.
And since then, I've really taken in that thought, like, this is only important to us.
Yeah.
Like, and it's good to pass those things along in regards to,
Yes.
like, I want to pass on to my son.
Yeah, because I mean, he may, James sitting over, he may be like, I want every antler, I want every head, I want everything Dad ever got.
And he might, but what I'm saying, I want to pass on the skills and the understanding, but the stuff really doesn't matter. Like, and we drive so hard, but on the back end of it, it's just a critter.
It is, and it's a passion, and that's okay to have a passion, but it's not. It doesn't have eternal weight.
It does not.
And I've
think
known
that's
that
where
the whole time.
shift.
I mean, I've known that the whole time, but I don't know. I hit a place where I'm like, if I don't get to go this evening, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
when there was a time, probably in my early
Yeah.
20s, she would be like, we got to go to such and such. I was like, are you kidding me? We're going somewhere on November 4th and they're having something at 6 o'clock. That can't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I was that
true.
way
Yeah.
at times. I was like,
we've got
that
those
can't
things.
happen. It don't get dark till I was fine with things an hour after dark.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then you realize, and this might be sad, but your grandparents start passing away, your parents start getting older, your kids move out, you have a wife there that you love so much, and you think, I want a great marriage. Well, what did you put in to make all? I just think it begins to shift.
Yeah.
I
It
would-
does. Mindsets change. They just do.
I think some of it's about 32, about 33.
That's where you're going with that.
The front of your brain or whatever they
It
say
gets
in
more
America
developed.
finally develops, and you're like, I mean, it's awesome, it's fun, we enjoy it. I'm still going to do it, but it's just not the main thing. And
What is the main thing? Go ahead and say it in your microphone.
Jesus
Jesus? No, you're the main thing.
Jesus and
our wives.
And
Thank
and our
you.
family. And
Thank
really,
you.
this will really shock some people out there listening, but really, your kids are just an assignment.
That's exactly right.
Because they're going to turn 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, move out, and who's going to be still living with you?
Yep. Your wife.
So that's number one.
Yep.
And
And
we
pe-
live in a society, and I can go deep
breaks
down
people
a
a
hole,
lot of
but we
times.
live in a
does.
society where it's like, I have to be at every game, I have to be at everything, I have to, when all that's going to melt away, and it's going to be you and Miss Kristin
Yep.
sitting on the couch at home. So you better put some.
Or it won't be because you dedicated all that
Or
time to
it
that.
can be, but there's walls built up and there's
Mhm.
resentment, and you're a partnership.
Yeah.
And I think you can fall back in love. It's not hopeless, but you can definitely
Right.
be unhappy.
And
at
it
that
is a
stage
partnership,
too.
and there should be partnership things, but it should far exceed a partnership. It should far exceed, I'm the
It's
dad,
the
you're the mom,
rich
let's get these
relationship.
kids raised. Because once you get them raised, you may look at each other and be like, who in the world are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you change that priority, because I don't know where I came. I don't know where I happened up upon that. Somebody taught it to me. Either my mom and dad, Pastor Bill and Vicky, somebody impressed within me. Finally, the Holy Ghost got a hold of me and said, this is number one. And it's, she would tell you that it's far better
Oh yeah.
today. And I believe with all my heart that marriage is good on day 1. It should be good at year 5. It should be even better at year 10.
It ought to get
Mhm.
better.
And at year 45 and 50 and all that stuff, if the Lord tarries, it ought to be the greatest then
That's ever been.
than it's ever
Mhm.
been. Yeah. And I don't know if I come to that. I just stumbled upon it, I guess. I don't know. You know, they say,
That's like every good man. He just stumbles onto things.
yeah.
So,
And if you wander long enough, you'll find your way in certain things. But
What do you think, Cassie?
About what specifically? That was
Your
pretty
journey
deep.
of life and marriage.
Oh,
do you think it's the 32, 33 thing?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think
Like, was
they're-
it a
I think
process
they
And I-
are
for you?
correct in
I
that,
guess
so.
in saying that, I'm joking about that the whole time. But in saying that, it sometimes it takes just time to
Yeah.
understand.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure it's the age as much as family and just where you are in life. Like
Yeah.
the
Probably.
age of your kids.
Yeah, because I've seen guys that are our age that I'm like, dude, you ever gonna grow up?
Yeah.
You know, like
Any names
I
you
don't
want to drop
wanna-
right now?
I don't want to fully grow up.
JK.
I'm not saying that I do either in regards to certain aspects, but I don't
Should
know.
still be able to joke and laugh and be. Don't lose that kiddish
Yeah.
part of us.
True dat.
I'm still that, ain't I?
What?
I'm still kind of kiddish at times.
Yes.
I joke around a lot.
Yes.
Ha ha ha. and-
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you're the parent of
No.
4 kids instead of 3?
No, I never did that. I never felt that.
Because in all that, I'll give myself a pat here. In all that, I've always worked hard, did my best. I mean, I've looked at you and said, don't work, stay home.
Yeah. I've always
I'd
been
rather
number
you-
one.
I'd
I've
rather
always
you-
been number one.
If you want to be a mama and be at home, I don't want you to go work. I'll find a way.
No, and he never was like what he means is we have a good friendship, so we always can just laugh and we
Yeah.
can make
Yeah.
life not serious and stuff like that. But I've never felt like he was like my 4 kids, you know. I
Yeah.
never had that.
I think there were times where in my heart she was number 1, but I didn't treat her like she was number 1.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
Delve
In
into
my
that
heart.
one.
Did you tell her that on the phone? Hey, in my heart, you're number 1 right now.
She would be like,
When you're
show
getting ready
me
to
the
walk
money. I
into
don't
the
even
beer
care.
store.
Proof is in the
I don't
pudding.
even. That's funny when you say on the phone. I remember one time. It could have been about hunting. I don't know. We got into it. I don't even remember what it was about. And later, you were like, "I'm sorry, I hung up on you." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I hung up on you."
But in my heart, you were number 1.
And I'll tell you what that means about nothing.
Yeah.
It's like great for that, but
Yeah.
you better show that to me.
Right.
I don't
Show me
care
the
about
money.
I don't care about what you're saying. It's in your heart.
Right.
what is
It's
that
your
from?
actions.
No, I know what your quote is. but
Jerry Maguire.
number 1 in something and number 1 in my heart. What's that off of?
What is that of?
It's off the movie Game Plan, I know.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. It
you're
is.
right. It
Yeah.
is.
I've watched that movie about
Man,
25 times.
Man.
pulled that one
Way to
out.
go, Dad.
Yeah.
That was
We
really
raised
I
our
had
kids on
girls
Disney
that watched
movies.
that movie a
Yes,
lot when
we
they were
did.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Oh man,
so
nice job.
Pulled that
What's
one
he
out.
That's
say,
really
though?
good.
I'm impressed with myself that
Yeah,
I did
Yeah.
me
that.
too.
'Cause he
Number
always-
1 in the field and number
Number
1 in
one in
my
my
I'm number
heart.
1 on the field and number 1 in your
heart.
Yeah,
There you
number
go.
1 in your heart. There
Yeah.
you go.
Oh,
It's
man.
really digressed
That's-
for
That's a,
game plan.
yeah, I mean, make.
Did we
many-
have any questions whatsoever?
I
Man,
don't think so. I think people
Nobody's
probably
got
way too
questions
scared.
for
The
us.
men are probably sitting next to their wife and they're not going to ask a question.
Yeah.
And the wives are probably, looking like, he talking about you, baby. So,
I just feel like there's a lot of value
But-
in this.
yeah. But that being said, now there's this is one dynamic, but there's a way different dynamic that and they come in the shop all the time, husbands and wives that hunt together.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
very passionate
That's
about it.
which is great.
Yeah.
But that's a similarity between us that
I never
We're
pushed
not-
for that, and honestly, I was okay with it being not
Sure.
that way.
Well,
mean,
and
I-
because it's not who I am.
It's not.
Right.
And,
Yep.
and honestly,
Preach.
there's elements of
Tell it to us, Sister Cassie.
there's elements of I enjoyed
Doing that by yourself.
Careful.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Careful.
No,
I'm
that's
totally
okay.
okay with that.
Take
That's
it easy.
okay.
No.
I'm totally
Yeah.
okay.
There are times when I want to go antique shopping that I
Yeah.
just want to go antique
Yeah.
shopping or, whatever.
Yeah.
See, I was telling you.
I
dude.
remember, okay, this is a little off topic, but when the kids were smaller and we'd go to the beach and Wes gets a little antsy on the beach.
I hate
and
the beach.
Not impressed with
Preach.
the beach.
Oh,
Jesus.
We're
stop
3
it.
anti-beachers.
Oh,
No.
I
You don't
can-
like. I
I-
thought
You do, you
li-
boo.
You like the
Eh.
beach. I thought.
To sit on it and read, but not to get in the ocean.
I-
Remember when we
She
tried to
does.
get in the ocean?
Yeah.
Oh,
If I would
I
just put
love
sand
it.
in the backyard, make a good sunny spot, I guess that's true. You would be happy with that.
Well, and so anyway, we would go and I love it. And I would feel a little fussy with Wes because he would get bored. And I'm like,
well, it would be like 4 days in it, going and sitting on the beach every day.
and I mean,
Yeah.
that's all I want to do. Like, I don't want to leave and go to dinner. I want to stay till dark.
She does.
I love it. But I told him one time, I'm like, you know how you feel when you get in a tree stand in October? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that is how I feel on the beach.
Yeah.
And he
then I
was like,
all right.
no,
All right,
no,
but
he
this
goes-
sand is hard on the
That's
bearings,
what-
girl.
But no, he goes, really? I'm like, yes. And
See?
ever since then, anytime that
I
we're
make
there,
every effort.
he does. And he gives
There
me
you go.
time to go walk on the beach alone.
And that's
like,
probably you.
With Disney
Disney
World.
World.
We just went all y'all.
She loves the
17 and a half hours we did not leave Magic Kingdom Park.
oh my
And my
word.
feet hurt so bad, but I think I could have stayed more.
Oh, it's
We
a
didn't
good
wanna
thing I
leave.
wasn't drinking
See?
coffee on that one.
No joke.
We get left. I won't get on that, but I could skip down Main Street,
17 and a half
eat cotton
hours?
candy and spin and sing the whole way down the Main Street. Yes, we did 17 and a half hours. We were in the
The
park.
last time we went, because we've taken our kids, the last time every night
Hey,
we'd
hey, watch yourself. Don't wreck yourself.
No, we would lay down in bed and be like, we're never doing this again.
Oh,
Never.
I laid down. I'm like, can we do it again tomorrow and the
And
next
I
day?
enjoy.
But he'll go to Disney. Sorry, I got excited. He'll go to Disney World with me, and you love it. Like
I do
because
enjoy it.
I
I enjoy
because
it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell
he'll
you,
do that for me.
part of the reason I probably enjoy it
Because
is
she enjoys
right.
it.
it's because
Yes.
you enjoy it. But another reason, you are phenomenal at putting it together.
I really
I
am.
don't have to think about nothing.
You just
that's
come-
the way
Alls
she
I
is
have
on
to
a
do-
vacation.
All I have to do,
It's true.
when we go to Disney
How could you just?
is stay.
Vacation together.
I don't want to go to the beach, and you don't want to go to Disney World.
No,
But let's
that's
go to
true.
Florida, and we'll split from
Okay.
that.
All I have to do when we
Hmm.
go is be able to keep up with you, and I can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm
We went
like,
to
lead the way.
Disneyland. Disneyland Paris is dream trip.
I don't even say where we going next. I just when she starts moving, I move with her. But I was like, take money and go. I mean, because you
Yeah.
go with the girl. Well, that trip you went with the girls.
Yeah.
And a niece
And a friend.
and a friend, and I was like,
And a random stranger.
yeah. And I'm really to the place. I'm one of those people. It's like money means nothing. Just we don't have it. We'll shake some out somewhere and go.
Yeah.
I don't worry about it.
But that's probably how I feel. Like I enjoy it. I have not a care in the world. That's how
Mhm.
he is in Colorado.
Yeah, I want you to
Mhm.
be that way with me in Colorado. Money's not an object. Just shake some out and go.
I'm not there on that part yet, but I'm like, you can go for
Breathe.
500, do it. Yeah.
Mm.
You're staying in the
More
woods.
than that, but
You're staying in the
you're
staying in the woods in a tent, and we don't have to pay for no food. I'm all about it. Like you go,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah,
But I'm glad
Yeah.
it makes you happy.
the drink's not $6 in the mountains.
No.
Watch
It's actually
yourself.
free.
Yeah.
Don't wreck yourself.
Chicken and waffles. There's no chicken and waffles up there last time I was up there, but if it was up there, I'm satisfied. It wouldn't cost $12. But
See, I would rather do that trip than go to Disney again. And I'm not saying I could at
I'm
all
about
keep
to
up.
turn this table
I just
over.
mean-
right here. Open that coffee, just throw it around, people.
and I do. I honestly enjoy going to Disney. I do.
I buy him
enjoy
shirts with cartoon characters on.
it. Yeah. I get to pick out a mug.
And see,
What are your thoughts on all this? You're so quiet.
I
he
hate
threw
that
up in his
place.
mouth
Yeah.
a little bit. Wait, which is worse, the
Should-
beach or Disney
Should
for
be
you?
called Devil Kingdom.
But
Hey,
one of
It's
our
not even like which is worse, the beach or Disney? I mean, it's not even.
You like the beach better? Ooh.
You don't even have to
Guardians of
think
the
about it, do
Galaxy,
you?
Cosmic Rewind.
was
I'm
a good
sorry. I
ride.
Thank
didn't even
you.
hear the question. All I was thinking about is how bad I hate that place.
Yeah.
So you'd rather be on the beach than ride Cosmic Rewind?
Oh,
But when we went and we did that Guardians of the Galaxy, I
It
was
was-
on top of it.
it was fantastic.
It's fantastic.
We
I was
rode it twice that weekend.
like
I've
the
never
month
been
it
on it.
opened.
Oh, it's a
coming
good
up,
ride,
brother.
dude.
Yeah, I've
Good
never
ride.
been on it.
I want you to know we rode it twice
It's-
in one day the
it's-
month it opened.
I'm proud of you.
I know it was a big
The
deal.
I had your name at the bottom. I'm going to erase it and put it up a few notches now because of that.
Mhm.
Um,
probably her and I would both say we'll take vacation to go to church too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Mhm.
like
That's
going,
that's one of my favorites. Like
Yeah.
traveling to see the men and women of God
mhm.
and sit in the anointing. That's probably what changed you more than anything was seeking the plan of God. And you realize hunting had to come down. And the Lord's like, your wife needs to come up. And so he just worked it out for me. He
Yeah.
just shook it out. But the anointing and being in his presence, there's no comparison to that.
Yeah, and it always changes things.
Mhm.
Always.
Yeah, it changes priorities. It changes the way you view things. It changes everything. So
Well, and even like in a way, since you have your priorities maybe better aligned now than you did then, and then the Lord opens the door that this is your job now.
Right.
Like, how awesome is
I
that?
mentioned that for
Right.
my people sitting here. I was preaching Sunday, and I didn't say that, but I was like, I don't like the stigmatism when preachers are like, "Lord, lay it down. You got to lay this down. You got to lay that. You got to just give everything up." And I said, the next thing you know, I feel like I'm standing here with no clothes on. I've gave everything up for the Lord, and that's not the way it is.
He
No.
just is so good. He's a
Like,
rewarder.
and I said, he asked me at one time to lay something down.
Yeah.
And I said, now it's back in my life, and it's better,
Mhm.
better than it was.
way better than it
Yeah.
was. It's
Yeah.
easier, and it, to some degree, is helping
Enjoying
bringing
life.
finances into my life, where the other
Yeah.
one just stripped me of
Right.
it. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
I was like, you mean we got to stay in a hotel again? And we were trying to throw money together to do that, and then you go there and you eat, and it was, and we didn't even have any at that time.
Yeah.
And and that's what I was talking about when I was preaching Sunday morning. I said, and I was talking about Team Harvest.
Yeah.
Because I wrestled that for months. I was like, oh, Lord, it's just right now they're getting ready to do TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, my heart. But he was like, just lay it down. Just tell him. And I finally just told Jens. And even within 2 or 3 years, it was better.
Yeah.
Because we got to hunt with hallowed
Mhm.
ground. They didn't expect. What
Yeah.
they expect from us? Send them a video. Gave
Yeah.
us, they sponsors gave us stuff, and then we was with Full Draw, and it was maybe even better then.
And I
And
think
here
it's
we
more
are
about
sitting
what
at
you
this
just said.
table.
Like when we give it over to the Lord and we let him say, if we say, you know what, Lord, it's not as important as you.
Yeah.
And when that happens, there's an element of surrender that he can use.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's like I laid something down, because when I let that go, I didn't have to stop hunting. He never has asked me quit hunting.
no, but what I'm saying is the same thing that can be a problem can be great in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah, because you turn around twice, and it's far better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's helping, like, finances come into your life,
Mhm.
and you're in a place where you can enjoy it more. And maybe if you don't lay that down, this don't never
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
Interesting thought. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So it's 7:04.
7:04. We got a few minutes.
All right.
I was thinking the other day, because, and this is really going along with what you said, but I was pondering hunting and how it is. I look at hunting and I think, man, that's been a positive in my life. Like, it's
Always.
taught me a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I had a check in my spirit. Is there a time when it's not been a positive? And I was like, yeah, there definitely has been times where it pulled me away from people that I shouldn't have been pulled away from, or pulled me, into scenarios that I shouldn't have been in, or, where I, we can go off that for,
Mhm.
but, and it was like the Lord just said in my heart, if you're willing to submit it to me, similar to what you said, like I can use that.
Mhm.
But if it's all
Yeah.
about you and all about what you want to do, I can't use that.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And
Oh.
once you make that first step and surrender, it's like you hold on, but his plans are, you're holding on to what you have.
Mhm.
But when you do that surrender, his plans are so much, they're so far greater. And then you've got a rich marriage, and then you've got balance, and you put God first and his way of doing. It's like you're giving up what you think is so big, but on the flip side, you just don't see it because you have to step out by faith first.
yeah,
It's so much
Mhm.
better. Every time the Lord's asked that, it's so much better when you get to the other side of it.
yeah, that's good.
I can remember when I was sitting out there on Sundays, Sunday evening, thinking, all right, when the sun goes down, and I don't know, you may have been part of it too. We got to skirt down this tree because I had
To get to
things.
church.
Yeah, I had things I had to be at, and it was like the Lord went. And I say once again, I don't want to make it sound like I had to give up. I made that decision, was obedient, and when you just give him a little bit, he can trust you.
Yeah.
And if I was out of balance then, and I never brought that in subjection, how could we be over this? Because I'd get out of balance in this,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I'd let this, because this is bigger than that was.
Yeah.
And it would cause this to start ruling and reigning in my life.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think you come to a place, it's like
What's that scripture about faithful with small things that
Yeah,
can make you ruler?
over
Yeah.
many.
over many. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was faithful to be like, yeah, I just one day said, here's what I'll do, Lord, I will not go to the deer stand on Sunday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in that, there's been times when, for whatever reason, there was nothing on a Sunday evening.
Then you would hunt.
And it was like, I had peace.
You had
Go.
freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go this evening.
Yeah.
And because, I used to, I've gave the Lord many excuses. Well, Lord, when I get there, I'll talk to you. Oh, you will. Okay. So you know how we do, but I've had, so I
You
still
did lay that
don't,
down.
and he's promoted me every time if I just listened to him best I could.
Do you ever think that where you're at, like right now, I feel like we're a ruler over many,
Mhm.
but I think on the back end in 20 years, I might look back and be like, man, I wasn't really a ruler yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
because I
so.
think God, as you grow, he keeps
Yeah.
promoting
Yeah.
and taking you where he wants you to be. And you look back and you're like, man, I didn't quite have it figured
Yeah.
out,
Right.
but I'm working
Welcome
towards
to
it, Lord.
life.
Yeah.
Let's hope the plan's not finished right
That-
now.
Yeah.
No,
No,
it's
this isn't
not
it.
finished.
Yeah.
This isn't it. And Pastor Bill, what do you say? We know so little about what we know.
Yeah.
We find out as you get older, we know so little bit about what we know. And that's to say, we can only see this right now. You got to keep dreaming.
Yeah.
If he
Mhm.
asks you to give him something else, give it, because
Trust
you
him.
have a
Step
trust with
out.
him that, hey, he
Mhm.
wants to help me
He's
down the
faithful.
road, be able to handle the next thing that's even more.
Yeah.
And I look at our group, like you've got around this table teenagers that just fell radically in love with Jesus. This is where this all started. And we were products of the 90s. And we were teenagers in the 90s, and we've made a lot of great choices, and we've made a lot of hiccups. But the faithfulness of God has promoted us all to where we're at, and us just following what we knew to do at the time. And that's how he'll be for everybody and anybody. There's no
Right.
hopeless marriage. There's no hopeless circumstance or situation. Maybe you've lived 30 years out of balance, and maybe there's been damage done, and you whatever. God can reroute you and put you on a great plan. And
Yeah.
a lot of healing can take place in
Mhm.
5 minutes. But all we are people, all 4 of us. Cassie's younger than all of us. How old are you, Cassie?
38.
Oh,
I'm
No
almost
kidding.
39.
I thought she was older than you.
A cradle
What?
robber.
No, not because of I just did.
How
our
rude.
other friend is older than that shall not be named.
I'll see everybody next week. I'm
Yeah.
checking out. I'm
No, I
so
heard
sorry.
somebody say one time that when a guy gets older, the women, they hold their age so much better. And I thought, I need a younger woman.
I miss that. Not because, you look older.
I forgive you, but it really comes down to her.
Does she
Yeah.
forgive you?
I'm forgiving.
Well,
I
I
just think
apologize.
that the reason that we have good lives is because we serve a really good God.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm the oldest one here.
You are.
You are. We call you Methuselah behind your back.
I'm fastly approaching 44. I'm proud of it.
Amen.
Somebody's got to lead this posse.
All
Just
right.
joking.
I feel like this has been pretty productive.
Yes, well, we appreciate you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're
I always
welcome.
tease. I was like at the church when I do lives and she comes on, I get way more views. So I expect to see.
One
Well,
thing
yeah.
we're not great about is introducing our guests. I feel like we should
Really?
do that. Yeah.
Man.
Like
You did it last week.
I did. I'm working towards it, but I'm not there yet. But
My name is Kristin Musgrave. Happy to be here.
Cassie Hutchcraft.
yeah, thanks for coming on.
You've never
Yeah.
been great at introducing people.
I'm not.
Ever.
I don't know why.
I
It's
probably
like my
not
mind
either.
is already
Yeah.
3 steps
Engaged.
ahead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just feel like, I guess if I know them, everybody else should know them too. James and Jarrett behind the scenes,
Yeah.
working the behind the scenes things. James and Jarrett. That's
Double J.
Double J.
Yeah.
Country
Double
Western Group.
J.
So next week we've got some interesting people coming on. We've got Josh Klingel coming on and Kevin Boyer. Kevin is from Elite Land Consulting.
Both of them will be here at the same time.
They will be here at
Okay,
the same
gotcha.
time. We're going to be talking about land management, property management, what that looks like in regards to how to make your property better for your herd and what a strong herd is. So I think there's a lot of good content there.
So this is, and it's not like their opinion. They do this.
They do
Yeah.
this.
So,
So-
you know, if you've got a patch or a parcel or a whole map full of
Yep.
land, you want to tune in because they've been doing it for some time. So
Yep,
they could
they've
for
got,
sure
they've
maybe
got good businesses. They've got good reputations because Elite Land Consulting, they do a lot of stuff for like Lee and Tiffany. They do stuff for several other, big names and different property sizes. And, if you go on their website, they've got all that on there. So they talk about who they work with and they talk about what they do.
So real quick, what would be a tidbit, like a teaser? They would for sure, like food plots.
Oh, absolutely.
They would
Food
know.
plots, bedding. They talk about how to lay out your ground to where you get you maintain the herd and it stays on you. Because all that's important. If you're going to develop a strong herd, you can't have them going, half a mile away to somebody else where they get annihilated.
Right.
So
Give them a reason to stay on your property.
yep. So we're going to have them on
Make
next
them
week.
huntable.
Yep. And then the following week, we're going to have Canyon Clark on and Nate Burgess. I think that'll be a great show as well. Canyon Clark, he runs Ridge Hunter Outdoors. And they also have a management business out of Wayne City. So we've got 2 weeks dealing with land management, property management, herd management.
Which is good timing because a lot of that is done in the spring and
Right now, guys need to be
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So tune into that.
So this week was home management.
Yeah.
Next week is land management.
Land
Priorities.
management. Yeah.
So
Number one first. Kristin and Cassie, we're so thankful that you were on.
yep.
I get to go home and see you again.
Praise God.
What are we watching tonight on TV?
Yeah.
What's for supper?
All right.
All that
We
good
appreciate you guys tuning in this evening. If you wouldn't mind, once again, share, comment. We appreciate it. We're trying to grow this thing as much as possible.
Yep.
And as we're doing that, we want to say thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for sharing it. So we appreciate it. And this has been Up for Discussion.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.